and just all kinds of bizarre things. I mean, he's a newspaper. He writes for a newspaper, I believe. She erases an entire article that he's worked on. Tries to kill her competition by putting bees in the photography room where this woman is developing photos, and the woman is obviously allergic to bees, and it just, it escalates until you almost cannot believe what you're seeing. And I believe the first time I saw this movie, I saw it at the theater, and again, even though it was bizarre, the film itself was well made, had excellent acting in it, and I think it still stands up now. Maybe in some ways better than Fatal Attraction does, because Fatal Attraction is typically an 80s movie, and this was quite a bit later. But again, I really enjoyed this one. And as far as special features on this one, well, of course it has the 5.1 soundtrack, and it's remastered. It has cast filmographies. It has some theatrical trailers, interactive menus, but not a whole lot of other stuff in there. And it also does have Jennifer Rubin in it, which is a plus, because I always like watching Jennifer Rubin. She's an excellent actress, who was also in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. But anyway, that's The Crush. The next one, of course I have the Blu-ray of this now, is the aforementioned Fatal Attraction, which again, this was a typical 80s woman gone awry film. Michael Douglas plays one of the main characters, who's in a supposedly happy marriage, has a daughter, and his wife goes out of town for the week or a weekend, and he meets up with Glenn Close's character at he had actually met up with her once before at a party, and then he meets her again while his wife is out of town, and they end up having some pretty steamy sex scenes for the time. And Michael Douglas's character considers it, after an all-day sex brawl with Glenn Close's character, he's ready, to break it off at the end of that time and go back to his happy existence with his wife and his kid. Well, evidently Glenn Close's character is not prepared to do that. She has some bizarre ideas of her and Michael Douglas's character continuing the relationship, and she, one of the big scenes is she boils the little girl's rabbit in a pan of boiling water, and that's just, that, as an animal lover, that was really hard for me to see, even though it was like a split second shot. You really don't see it that well. But the movie itself is creepy. Glenn Close does an excellent job of playing the Alex character, and Glenn Close is a very versatile actress, because I've seen her in movies like The Big Chill, where she's, sensitive and kind of maternal, and then to see her in Fatal Attraction, where she's obviously a woman gone berserk, just goes to show you what a great actress she is. And Michael Douglas is always a good actor. I like watching him in films as well. And I probably talked about this before when I was talking about one of my updates and talking about the Blu-rays I got in. But the transfer is very good on this. Also, there is commentary by the director, Adrian Lynn. There's a Forever Fatal featurette, Remembering Fatal Attraction cast and crew interviews. There's a Social Attraction featurette, The Cultural Phenomenon of Fatal Attraction. Visual Attraction, Behind the Scenes production featurette, rehearsal footage. There's an alternate ending with an introduction by Adrian Lynn. And there's also an original theatrical trailer. And these last two items are in HD, which makes them look even better. Okay, so that's Fatal Attraction. The next film is one that hasn't been out that long, and it's one of the French horror films that I was really interested in watching, and was really kind of blown away by it after seeing it. Is Inside. And although, I mean, there were some creepy moments, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen in my life, but it certainly had some bizarre elements in it that made you just think, what in the world, you know, what kind of mind comes up with this stuff that, you know, because you've got a woman stalking a pregnant woman and sticking scissors in her stomach and, you know, chasing her pretty much around the house until the woman is locked in a bathroom with no way out. She's bleeding. She's trying to, later in the film, trying to give birth, and she, you know, there's no way she can get out of this room because this woman is there waiting to kill her. And the ending is just so, it's even more bizarre and off the wall. And, you know, even when you get to the twist and you realize what's going on, it is still just mind-numbing. I guess the reality within the film behind all this stuff is just, it just completely turns everything on its ear. And it's unlike many films that I've seen like this. And I would definitely agree with a lot of people that say the French are really, you know, kind of making us look bad as far as the films they're putting out, because they just, in the last several years, they've put out some really great films. And this one was no exception. And as far as the special features on Inside, it has an in-depth look at the making of Inside, and there is a theatrical trailer. Not a whole lot, but you really don't need a whole lot, because by the time you finish watching this film, you're pretty much exhausted. And this, if you'll notice, this is the unrated version, which this is the only version I've seen, so I don't know how much extra gore is added on top of it. For the most part, for films that I have compared with the unrated and rated versions, I haven't seen a whole lot of difference. You might see an extra glob of blood here or there, or an extra spurt of blood here and there, but it's not that much difference. Okay, so that's Inside. The next one is an older film as well. I believe this is a Pete Walker film. He's an English director, I believe. This is Frightmare. And there are actually two films that were made several years apart that are called Frightmare. One movie entitled Frightmare has Jeffrey Combs in it, but this is the other one. And it concerns a woman that was arrested for being a cannibal. Both her and her husband were arrested, and they went to prison for several years because the husband was actually getting her victims to